Hello students, how are you all? I think this is our fifth lecture of chapter number 1 of class 10 science, that is chemical reactions and equation. In the previous lecture, let us revise what we have learnt. We have learnt about the physical change, chemical reaction, chemical equation, how to balance a chemical equation and why to balance a chemical equation. So how to write the states of each and every compound, name of compound, it means how to make the equation more informative. Then we have learnt about the types of reaction. The types of reactions are combination reaction, decomposition reaction and displacement reaction. There are few more types of reactions that we are going to learn in this chapter. But now let us take an example. The most important questions from the combination reaction and the most important question from the decomposition reaction. These are the questions which are asked frequently in the board exam as well as your class exams. I think I will ask most frequently these two questions. This is an example of the combination reaction. What is the question? Whitewashing of walls. Which chemical or which compound is used for whitewashing of walls? So what do we mean by whitewashing of walls? Whitewashing of walls means coloring of the walls with a white color, that is calcium with a limestone, with lime, before applying the actual color on it. The whitewashing of walls is that applying the white, that is tuna, applying the tuna on the walls before applying the color on it. That is whitewashing. So which chemical is used in the whitewashing? So the first chemical used here is calcium oxide. Calcium oxide is also known as quicklime. Note it down quickly. The another name of the calcium oxide or the common name of the calcium oxide is quicklime. The chemical name is calcium oxide, but the common name is quicklime. Quicklime, when gets added to the water, it forms calcium hydroxide. When quicklime is added to water, it forms calcium hydroxide. Here calcium oxide is solid in state, water will be obviously liquid in state, and calcium oxide is aqueous in state. The another thing here is plus the release of heat. Heat is released. What is released? The heat is released. Now the name of CaO, that is quicklime. H2 means water. COH twice, that is calcium hydroxide. COH twice, that is calcium hydroxide. The another name of the calcium hydroxide is slacked lime. Another example of the name of the calcium hydroxide is slacked lime, or it is also known as lime water. Calcium hydroxide, slacked lime water, that is one and the same thing. Now this is the solution from the market. We are buying a solid calcium oxide. We are buying the white colored powder. Calcium oxide from the market. Now bringing it to our home and adding water into it. Now we are adding water into the calcium oxide, so it becomes the solution of calcium hydroxide. This was a simple reaction that we have learnt in the last lecture. Now that is calcium hydroxide. Now when calcium hydroxide is applied on the wall, it gets dried up because of the atmospheric air, and carbon dioxide is also present in the air. Carbon dioxide gas, obviously during the respiration we are exhaling. See, I have released carbon dioxide. It means carbon dioxide is present in the air, and that carbon dioxide gets reacted with the calcium hydroxide. That carbon dioxide reacts with calcium hydroxide and forms calcium carbonate with release of water. Clear? Getting it? Here calcium hydroxide gets react with carbon dioxide and forms calcium carbonate plus water. What is the name of the calcium hydroxide? Another name, common name, that is slacked lime or lime water. You can also write lime water. It is carbon dioxide. Here it is calcium carbonate, CaCO3. CaCO3 means calcium carbonate. The another name of the calcium carbonate is limestone. It is limestone. You heard about the word limestone in the previous standards, either in the standard 7, standard 8 or standard 9. But limestone means calcium carbonate, and H2O, that is water. Clear? So the finally what we will get on the wall, finally after whitewashing of walls, the last thing that is white in color, that is limestone. That is limestone. Limestone is white in color because it is a solution. Calcium hydroxide is a solution. So when we apply slaked lime or a lime on the wall, it doesn't shine that much. It doesn't have a brightness that much shine, that much whiteness in it. But as and when it reacts with carbon dioxide, it forms calcium carbonate. It forms calcium carbonate, that is also known as limestone, and because of which the washing of white walls happens, that is the shining of the walls happens, that is the whiteness of the walls happens. Why? Because of the presence of calcium carbonate, that is white in color. That is white in color. Clear? So now this is a question. It can be asked in 2 to 3 marks, that what reactions are involved in the whitewashing of walls and which chemical is used for the whitewashing of walls. If it is a 1 mark question, and it is asked such that which chemical is used for the whitewashing of walls, then calcium oxide is used for whitewashing of walls. Calcium oxide is used for whitewashing of walls. Besides calcium oxide, you can also write as quicklime. Quicklime, that means calcium oxide. Quicklime is a common name of the calcium oxide. Otherwise, it can be asked as which chemical reactions are involved in the whitewashing of walls. Then you have to write both of the examples as well as in the detailed chemical equation. What do we mean by in detail? It means you have to mention the states: aqueous, carbon dioxide is gaseous, calcium carbonate is solid in state, water will obviously in the liquid state. Clear? So writing the name of the compound, writing the names of the compound, states of the compound, balancing the equation, that is the in detailed chemical equation. Clear? Then you will be able to get 2 or 3 marks as per the marks of the allotted to the questions. Now another such type of important question, see, this is a quite important question. Another such type of important question is electrolysis of water. That is one of the examples of the decomposition reaction, electrolysis of water. How can water be separated? Water can be separated here by when H2O in presence of electricity, it gets divided into H2 plus O2. H2 plus O2. See, what is here? Water. H2O is in liquid in state. H2 is obviously will be in gaseous state as it is in dye state. Remember what I've taught you in the last lecture, that those of the compounds which are in the dye state are always in gaseous state. H2, O2, N2, F2, Cl2. So oxygen will obviously in the gaseous state. Now is this equation already balanced? 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, 2 oxygen. So no, it is not balanced. The number of oxygen are unbalanced. Here there is 1 oxygen, here there is 2 oxygen. So we are putting 2 in front of H2O. So now there are 2 oxygen, but hydrogen are 4. So now we are putting 2 to balance hydrogen. So now it is a balanced chemical equation. Now the next step, H2O, that is water, H2, that is hydrogen gas. Clear? This is O2, that is oxygen. So during the electrolysis of water, we get hydrogen and oxygen. During the electrolysis of water, we get hydrogen and oxygen. Correct? Simple, quite simple. But now see, by electrolysis of water, we get 2 hydrogen molecules and 1 oxygen molecule. See how much hydrogen? 2. How much oxygen? Nothing is written, it means 1. 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So the ratio of hydrogen is to oxygen is 2:1. So we will get the double amount of hydrogen as compared to the oxygen. We will get the double the amount of hydrogen than the oxygen. Clear? So what is electrolysis? Electrolysis is simple, passing the electricity into the water. as and when the current passes into the water at somewhat appropriate amount, then hydrogen and oxygen are released. Then hydrogen and oxygen are released from the water. Let us see the construction. See, suppose I have a beaker. Suppose I have a beaker filled with the water. Filled with the water. Now, from the bottom of the beaker, I am inserting two electrodes, two graphite electrodes through which I am going to pass the current. So, I am inserting two graphite electrodes. See, these are the two electrodes of the graphite. Clear? These are the two electrodes of the graphite. Now, I am connecting the wires. And that wires are connected to the battery. See, this is a battery. Clear? So now this one is a positive wire and this one is a negative wire. So it means it is a positive electrode and this one is a negative electrode. So on one electrode hydrogen gas will be accumulated and on the another electrode oxygen gas will be produced. Clear? This is a quite simple. Beaker we have taken beaker filled with water. Now I have inserted two electrodes from the bottom. Both the electrodes are of graphite so that current can be passed easily. So now on one electrode hydrogen will be produced and on the another electrode oxygen will be produced. But how can we say that? But how can we know that, or how can we say that in which electrode, on which electrode which gas will be produced? In the positive electrode hydrogen will be produced, and on the positive electrode oxygen will be produced. How can we know that? In which electrode which gas will be produced? See, remember class 9 chapter number 3, hydrogen ion, oxygen ion. Hydrogen was positive, H plus, but oxygen was surely negative, O minus 2. Hydrogen can be negative, but oxygen is surely negative. Clear? So hydrogen obviously will be positive, as well as remember the rules of writing the chemical formulas. The atom or the ions which is written in front, that is positive, and the next one will be negative. So hydrogen will be positive, oxygen will be negative. Positive and the negative charges will attract each other. Positive and negative will attract each other. So on the positive electrode oxygen will be produced and on the negative electrode hydrogen will be produced. Getting it? Yes or no? On the positive electrode oxygen will be produced. Why? Why oxygen will be produced on the positive electrode? Because oxygen is negatively charged and hydrogen is positively charged. So oxygen will get attracted towards the positive electrode and hydrogen will get attracted towards the negative electrode. And how can we know that the gases are produced? How can we know gases are produced? We are putting the test tube. We are putting the inverted test tube above the graphite electrodes. So by that we can know that gases are produced. But the gas produced on the negative electrode, that is hydrogen gas, because hydrogen is positive, it will be produced at the negative electrode. The gas produced at the negative electrode will be double the amount, produced than the gas at positive electrode. Clear? Why? Because during the electrolysis, two hydrogen molecules are released and only one oxygen molecule is released. So hydrogen gas is double the amount than the oxygen gas. So the hydrogen gas is double the amount than the oxygen gas. Clear? Getting it? It is quite simple here. Yes or no? So hydrogen is double the amount than the oxygen. So the gas produced at the negative electrode is double than the gas produced at the positive electrode. Clear? So these are the two most important questions of this chapter, as well as of the combination reactions and decomposition reactions. Both of them are given in detail in our NCERT textbooks. Both of these questions are given in detail in our NCERT textbooks. Just go through it, go through the activity given for the electrolysis of water, answer the in-text questions on your own. Try to answer the in-text questions on your own. Obviously I am going to solve that questions, but before seeing my answers, let us try before sir is going to solve. So that will make your knowledge improve. That will improve your knowledge. Clear? So try to solve the in-text questions before seeing the solution on the videos. Now double displacement reaction. So let us remember what is a single displacement reaction. Let us try to remember what is a displacement reaction. What is a displacement reaction? So we have seen the example of a displacement reaction such that CuSO4, copper sulfate, when reacts with zinc, it forms ZnSO4, zinc sulfate plus Cu. Clear? So what happens here? What happens here is zinc is more reactive, so it will displace copper. From its solution. Zinc is more reactive, that is more powerful, so it will displace copper from its compound. So instead of CuSO4, now the compound is ZnSO4 plus Cu. Now what do we mean by double displacement reaction? If we had a zinc chloride compound, instead of only zinc we had a zinc chloride, that is ZnCl2, then zinc has displaced copper, and similarly at the same time copper will take the place of a zinc. So the compound finally produced will be ZnSO4 plus CuCl2. Clear? So what happened here? Copper has taken the place of zinc and zinc has taken the place of copper. So there is a two-time displacement. And if there is two-time displacement, then it is known as double displacement reaction. Getting it? If it was only zinc, then zinc is only displacing copper. Now if it is a zinc compound, copper compound, then the positive ion gets exchanged. Zinc takes the place of copper and copper takes the place of zinc. So there is a two times displacement. Displacement means taking the place of other. That is a simple displacement reaction. But now here the displacement is done two times, so it is known as double displacement reaction. And what happens in the double displacement reaction? The positive ion gets exchanged. So note it down the definition of the double displacement reaction. Note it down the definition of a double displacement reaction. Write it down. The reaction in which ions get exchanged. In between the reactant compounds. The ions get exchanged, but in between reactant compounds. The reaction in which ions get exchanged in between the reactant compounds, and two new products are formed. This is known as double displacement reaction. The reaction in which ions get exchanged between the reactant compounds and the new product are formed is known as double displacement reaction. Now the most important thing to remember about the double displacement reaction, for example, I have a compound sodium sulfate Na2SO4. I am adding the another compound barium chloride BaCl2. Sodium sulfate is a compound, barium chloride is a compound. So now what happens in the double displacement reaction? Barium will take the place of sodium and sodium will take place of barium. So the new compounds formed here are NaCl and BaSO4. Now the compounds are formed according to the valencies of the elements. Sodium has a valency of 2, sodium has a valency of 1, chlorine has a valency of 1. So the compound is NaCl. Barium has a valency of 2, SO4 has a valency 2, so it is a simple compound BaSO4. Hope so that you have seen the video of how to write a chemical formula. Now what the thing is, it is the same type, it looks like same type of reaction, but in the double displacement reaction, one of the product can be insoluble in water. It means for example, I am taking a glass filled with water, and I am adding the salt particles into it, it means the salt will get dissolved. Clear? But what if I add sand particles into the water? water. If we add sand particles into the water, then they are not going to be dissolved. So it is quite simple that when one of the compound, that is NaCl, that is simple salt, common salt that we eat in our house, when NaCl is added into the water, it gets dissolved. Then it might be happen that another compound may not get dissolved in water, such as BaSO4. So here NaCl will be in aqueous state because it gets dissolved into the water, but BaSO4 do not get dissolved, so it is solid in state. Here both of them are in aqueous, but BaSO4 is solid in state. It means it is insoluble. And the compound which is insoluble is known as precipitate. In short, you can say PPT. Precipitates. So this insoluble compound is known as precipitate, or in short PPT. Clear? So this precipitate and the reaction in which precipitates are formed are known as precipitation reaction. Clear? Are known as precipitation reaction. So we can say that most of the double displacement reactions are precipitation reactions. Why? Because in not all the double displacement reactions, there are always exceptions, but in most of the double displacement reaction, one of the product formed is insoluble. It means it is a precipitate. Precipitates are formed, and thus the reaction is known as precipitation reaction. Thus it is also known as precipitation reaction. So you can say that what is precipitation reaction? Precipitation reaction is a reaction in which one of the compound formed or one of the product formed is insoluble, that is precipitate, and thus the reaction is known as precipitation reaction. How can we observe? How can we know that precipitates are formed? For example, in one test tube we are taking Na2SO4, in the another test tube we are taking BaCl2. In one test tube we have taken Na2SO4, in the another test tube we have taken BaCl2. When we are adding BaCl2 into Na2SO4, then one of the compound will get dissolved, but another compound will obtain. For example, BaSO4 will be obtained in white particle, solid form. For example, what will happen when you add sand into the water? You will see that some of the fine particles of the sand are moving into the water, and after some time it will get settled down. The same thing happens here. NaCl get dissolved. The particles of NaCl are not visible, but the particles of BaSO4 are clearly visible in the solid state, and after some time it will get settle down at the bottom of a vessel or bottom of a test tube. So that are the precipitate. It means it is insoluble. So this is the important thing about the precipitation reaction. One of the most important precipitation reaction. This is one of the most important precipitation reaction. This is one of the most important combination reaction, and this is one of the most important decomposition reaction. Clear? Precipitation means double displacement reaction. So it is a most important example of the double displacement reaction. Now let us move on to oxidation reaction. But before moving on to the oxidation reaction, you should know that all of this you have to write in your class workbook, as well as each and every example with activity which is given in combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction, as well as double displacement reaction should be written in neat and clean form in your homework. Clear? Also, the in-text questions which are given before the starting of the topic oxidation reaction in the NCERT textbook, all the in-text questions which is given in the NCERT textbook before oxidation reaction, clear, should also be written in your homework book. Clear? Now lastly, when I solve all the in-text questions and exercise question on the board, then at that time you have to only just check which answer written by yours is right and which answer should be improved or which answer is totally wrong. Clear? So this is your homework. Clear? Thank you.